It's so
So,
hard.
Today we're going to talk about electrical. Take it away, Ashley.
Okay, this looks like really scary. Don't be scared, okay? It actually is like makes a lot of sense and it's very streamlined. So this, what do you guess that this would be? Here's a hint. What does that usually look like when it has a black wire and a red wire out of it?
Circuit?
Battery? This is the battery. Whoever said that, good job. So this is where like the power comes from. So we have on our robot this like really big battery. I don't know if any of you have seen it, and we need a lot of power for this whole robot to work, and all of the different motors and things. I don't know if any of you have counted how many motors. There's a lot of motors. So for all those motors to run, we need a lot of power, and that power comes from the battery. And this part, this is the little switch. So anytime you need to run anything, you turn on the switch. It's here. Should we have them come look at it? I don't know. Okay.
I'll just rotate it.
Okay, you
More
got it,
towards
Jack.
your
You're doing
direction.
great. Here's the switch on our robot. It's right here. Maybe you
I'll
can
turn
see,
it
maybe not.
around for you guys.
Anytime we do stuff, you have to turn it on first. So that switch allows all of the power from the battery to come into this distribution. Here is where we have, let's say, 8 motors on our robot. All of them need to get power somehow, and maybe they need a different amount of power or something like that. This is where that happens. So like, let's say this thing, I don't know what it is, but it gets its power from this main thing. It's kind of like what did we say it was, the heart or something?
It's like the heart and the spinal cord. We'll explain more about why it's the spinal cord later.
It takes the big power from our big battery and these 2 giant wires and splits it up into a bunch of smaller little streamlined things right here, and we can show you where it is on the robot after. So you get all these different motors and things come out of that. This thing, this is more like, if this is the heart, then this is kind of like a brain of the robot. So you can type in code or whatever you want. Let's say you want your motors to like come up at this speed and then go down at that speed. All that information, that you put it into here, and that will tell the motors like what you want them to do. Okay, so how do you get the information from here into these motors? Anybody has a guess? Yeah, go ahead.
Wires.
So
Good job, Kyle.
we have a special
Thank you.
connection system on our robot that is like just for the information. So we have the wires that the power goes through. So those are the black and red ones. Like you can see, they're connected here. And the information wires are these green and yellow ones. I don't know if you can see how many green and yellow wires we have. Like right here, there's like a lot of these like green and yellow ones, and they're connected with these little connecting, what are these called?
Connectors.
Yeah, the connectors, okay? And you can just unclip them and clip them back in. Those are really important. That's how the information is transmitted, and it's called the CAN. So it's CAN, like, I don't know. We can do it, that kind of CAN.
Control.
Yeah, that.
That kind of thing.
So we can do it. That's how I like to think of it. So these green wires connect to like the information. So every single component, the motor, whatever it is that we need, has the power that comes from this distribution and the CAN, which is the information. It's kind of like if you like hit your hand or something and it hurts, you have that like, what's that
Nerve.
called? The like nervous system. It's more like that, right? That's how we're gonna say it. So yeah, so that's the information, how you type all your stuff, and they're all connected through like, the CAN has its own kind of circle. So it's like all of the information travels through the different components in its own circle, and the power has like its own circle, and they're kind of like parallel to each other. That's why it has like the green ones and the red and black ones connected differently. If you take anything away from this, the green and yellow ones is the CAN, and that's information, and the red and black ones is the power, and that's how you get the voltage.
And we connect red to red, black to black, yellow to yellow, and green to green.
And a lot of the times, these little, what are these, does this have a name?
I
just
call
called
them power
connectors.
pole clips.
The clips, okay, we connect them so like you can have a closer look at this after. You can connect it like this, but you can't connect it the other way. Like it just won't connect that way. So it's like a little bit helpful. And another day we'll teach you how to wire them. Like you have to take the wires that we have, they're just regular wires, and you have to like strip them and then clamp them on and put the little clamps. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna have so much fun clamping all of our wires. Okay, then the other thing is, okay, so we have our robot and we have our, when we're in the competition, we have our laptop. How does the information get from the laptop? Let's say the person who's controlling the robot, like the driver. How does the driver, when he presses buttons, how does that get to the robot to tell it what to do? What do you think? How would we do that?
Radio waves.
Okay, radio waves. So the way that the radio waves get transmitted is through this white thing, which we can show you after, is on there. It's the radio. So that radio is connected to the information, the robo-reel. That's what it's called, the robo-reel.
The robo-brain.
Robo-reel, yeah. So, there's a lot of other things on here that probably not everybody has to know. Like this light. Okay, this light is important. This one, you can see it. This light, if it's flashing, that means the robot is running.
And
So-
it has code running into it.
So don't like try to like fix, if you're like, oh, fixing screws or something like that, like don't do that while the light is flashing, because that's important too.
The reason that is because if I'm fixing screws over here and the angle change is running, it's gonna hit my head and I'm gonna be very sad. So that's why you wanna back off the robot when it's enabled.
Yeah, that light is important.
These are pneumatics. We don't really use
Oh, yeah.
pneumatics. Our team has had a bad history with them. So just ignore this.
Yeah, it's kind of like it like exists, but it's okay. Oh, and we also have sometimes we have cameras on the robots too, which may or may not, like, I don't think we didn't really get them working last year, but it's like if we want to have on our robot as much
Feedback.
not the autonomous as possible. We want it to be like the least amount of human error, let's say, as possible on the robot. So if you have cameras in the competition, they have these little QR codes that it will like scan, and so it knows where it is on the field. So we also have those, but we don't use it so much. So that's the camera here. So now you know pretty much everything about this. It doesn't look as scary anymore, right?
Yay!
Yeah. Okay.
Simplified diagram of what we showed you previously. This is a more simple way we can think about electrical if we don't want to feel overwhelmed. I think of the robo-reel as the brain, the radio as the mouth, the power distribution hub, all these little clips as the heart/spinal cord, because it takes things in and moves them around and organizes them for you. I think of the power wires as like the bloodstream and the CAN wires as the nervous system, because the CAN wires send feedback back to the brain, and the power wires bring power to the motors and make them spin.
It's not connected for now.
Oh, we forgot the most important part.
Which one? Oh,
Got
don't
two.
be stupid. Sorry.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about safety. This is stuff taken from the safety manual. We don't use 50 plus volt circuits, but if we do, we would want to wear rubber safety gloves while working with it. Big things are unplug things after using them. This is called daisy chaining. The other thing is this thing, daisy chaining, which is when you connect a power strip to another power strip. This is okay when they're tiny little wires like these. We connect with these little wires that are on the robot. But when we're dealing with big wires, like a normal size power strip that's like thick, we wouldn't want to connect them to each other because that might cause an electrical fire. We don't want to disassemble the batteries. There's very dangerous battery acid in the batteries. And we also don't want to work on a turned on robot. So if this light is on, you don't want to be plugging and unplugging wires because you don't want to get electrocuted. Yippee!
Is that it?
That is it.
Nice.